talk back with me about this stuff.
I know everything I need to know.
Okay, tell me when we're ready. Right. You got the dogs barking.
It's a small Disney podcast. I'm Eric. Across from me is April. Some say she's to die for.
Oh my God.
What are we doing today?
Apparently, we are doing our worst impersonations of ghosts.
I wouldn't say it's the worst.
I wouldn't say it's the best.
Well, I'm technically alive, so this is the worst impression of a ghost that you could ever do.
Oh, wow.
It's almost Halloween. It's the time of the year where we have to constantly unplug and plug in blow-ups on our front yard and move things to mow the grass still. And it's a very love-hate relationship with Halloween time. I love it, but also I hate cleaning everything up.
Well, at least this year we didn't do any of the spider webs.
You wanted to put a dead body in the front.
Well, I did.
With a sheet over it.
I know.
And we have our neighbor's a coroner.
Awesome. Exactly. I mean, nothing you've said yet is giving me a reason why.
No, but tell them why we didn't.
Well, there was a little girl in our house, one of the kids' friends.
Is she alive or dead?
There's
There's a girl in our house, a little girl.
What we were doing, she was like, "Oh, but the police will surely come because they will."
Literally,
think that
one
it's
of
a real
our
person.
one of our kids' little friends was worried we were going to get the cops called on us if we did that. And then you know what? Then our child, who is friends with them, would be doing the thing where they're like, "Oh, that's cool," but also, are we really going to get the cops called on us?
Well, yeah. So, but like I said, we didn't do the fake spider webs this year because they're just a mess, and they really catch.
And we have real spiders.
Things. Yeah.
So they do that for us.
They do it for us, exactly.
We just let them do their job a little bit more during this time.
Mm-hmm.
We know what costume we're going to be. We're not going to reveal it yet because it's pretty funny. It's not Disney related, but it's a good couple's costume. We do have a haunted mansion blow up in the front of our house, and we have some haunted mansion indoor decor for Halloween. So appropriately, today's episode is about Peter Pan's Flight of Passage.
Oh, we're so funny. Haunted mansion.
You like how I combined two rides just then? Peter Pan's Flight of Passage.
Peter Pan's Flight of Passage.
Oh, yeah, the Haunted Mansion. My favorite
you are screaming.
Magic Kingdom ride. No, hands down, my favorite.
I know. I mean, it is mine. It's not my absolute favorite, but it's up there.
Your favorite Magic Kingdom ride is Peter Pan.
Yes, it will forever be. But this is a close second.
Close second. I think it's a must ride. Like it's going down on the list of whether the line's long, short, you ain't got much time, you got a fast pass, whatever. Haunted Mansion is a must. Do you want to know why Haunted Mansion to me is my favorite?
Why?
Because it's so, I want to say not Disney, but it's still Disney.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's survived like everything. Like the practical effects are just so cool. Like it's just old school. And they've not went in like, we're going to digitalize the whole freaking ride. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Still there. And it reminds me of old like carnival haunted house rides. There is I've
never been to a carnival that's had a haunted house ride or a carnival that's had a haunted house period.
Well, I was going
to say,
you
haven't either.
Yeah, I have.
Where?
They're back.
Don't even say they're everywhere. And I know there was not any in Eastern Kentucky.
Yeah, there was
a ride.
Like
in a haunted house at a carnival.
Yes.
Where?
They had one at the Black Gold Festival before.
Oh my God!
But there is also a small amusement park going towards West Virginia called Camden Park, and we would go there for like school trips, and they had their haunted house ride, and it was very much like Omnimover style, which is like the haunted house, and it was just so kind of rickety and like old, and it smelled funny. And
For a numerous amount of reasons, I'm sure.
yeah, I'm sure.
I'm sure it wasn't intentional.
It was just one of my favorite rides when I was younger too. And when I finally got to ride the Haunted Mansion, I was like, "Oh, this is like the good version of this." But that's why
I don't know if I even believe you. I'm gonna be honest with you. I cannot,
look up Camden Park Haunted House ride.
I'm good.
But either way, I love this ride. It's so Disney, but not. I mean, you've got spooky stuff, you got funny stuff, you got, people hanging from ceilings, you got dead people, you got floating heads. It's amazing to me.
Okay, so that's the podcast, and thanks
Tune
for
in
joining
next
us.
time.
Okay, so why don't we start? One thing that I love about Haunted Mansion is its history. It is tied into so many different things, and that just it's awesome. So I'm going to start with a little bit of history. You okay with that?
No.
What do you want to start into?
I just want to be on the ride right now. Honestly.
Okay, well, just sit back, close your eyes, okay, and pretend like you're getting ready to start the process. How about that? You've just booked your Fast Pass.
Am I in line? Am I outside when the point where you haven't entered the room yet, but you're getting crowded and you're like, can people?
No, you're not even there yet. You're
Am I even in Florida?
No, you are at rope drop. That's where you're at right now.
We can't rope drop this ride.
Exactly,
though.
I know. So that's that. I mean, we're waiting a while. Okay, so just enjoy. Okay, so the concept of the Haunted Mansion predates even Disneyland itself. Okay, and it started when Walt Disney first began assembling his team of Imagineers. So the concept is a long time ago, right? So the first person that he tasked with developing the story was Ken Anderson. And Anderson initially had a vision of like an overgrown, eerie Annabella Manor inspired by the Biltmore house.
The Biltmore.
It featured dead trees, boarded windows, a screeching cat as a weather vane, and it just created this image of decay, right? However, Walt just immediately dismissed that idea of a rundown building in his park, and he wanted to maintain that pristine aesthetic. Yeah. So he was like, nope, absolutely not. So, however, Disney later visited the Winchester Mystery House, which is, have you heard of that before? The Winchester House? Mm-hmm. I have listened to multiple podcasts on that. And when I come across this, I was like, see what I mean? Like how it's just crazy how this is intertwined with so many other things that's not Disney related. But that is a whole fun episode in itself, no joke. But it was in San Jose, California, and he was fascinated by the architecture. It's bizarre. It has staircases that lead to nowhere, doors that open to walls. And just to give you an idea of what that is about, the Winchester House, as a little sidebar here, it was a mansion that originally belonged to Sarah Winchester, the widow of the firearms magnate William Winchester. Okay?
Yeah.
And after William and then their infant daughter died, Sarah sought solace in this construction of the house, believing that she was cursed by the spirits of those who were killed by the Winchester firearms. So she believed that continuous construction would appease the spirits, and the construction went on for 38 years until she died in 1922.
I listened about this in a trip to Disney with you.
With me.
In the car.
Oh, maybe. So he went to this house and got all these ideas and wanted it to be built along those lines. Okay.
Got it.
So
makes sense when you think about it.
Mm-hmm. So this sparked further inspiration for the mansion's design. So then Anderson then developed various storylines from the Haunted Mansion, including that of a ghostly sea captain who murdered his bride and then hanged himself, a haunted family mansion, and even a ghostly wedding attended by Disney villains and spirits. So in 1961, Disneyland handed out, now listen, 1961,
Got it.
Disneyland handed out flyers announcing the Haunted Mansion debut in 1963, and construction on the exterior began, and it finished in 1963. The ride was previewed at Walt Disney World's Wonderful World of Color in 1965, but the attraction didn't open to the public until 1969. The 6-year delay. Nice. It was a 6-year delay, and it was due to Disney's focus on the New York World's Fair in 1964, and then he passed in 1966. Okay. So after the fair, so everything had started, right? And the exterior was finished in 63, and the fair was in 64. After the fair, several other different Imagineers contributed their own ideas to the project because at this point, Ken Anderson had moved on. And one Imagineer presented Walt with the designs that featured strange and whimsical elements like coffin-shaped clocks, talking chairs, man-eating plates, man-eating plants, and a mirror with a face.
Imagine a plate that ate you while you ate.
Walt was so intrigued by these different concepts, and he embraced the idea of creating a Museum of the Weird, which was a planned restaurant adjacent to the now renamed Haunted Mansion, similar to the Blue Bayou next to the Pirates of the Caribbean. Okay. So we're at that point. So now 2 key designers of the Haunted Mansion had differing visions for the ride. Claude Coates, originally a background artist, envisioned a chilling atmosphere and experience in creating concepts featuring eerie settings like endless hallways, corridors of doors, and other spooky environments. On the other hand, Mark Davis, an animator and character designer, pushed for a lighter tone filled with humorous characters and playful gags. So ultimately, both visions were incorporated, and they blended the dark, ominous mood with the more lighthearted, whimsical touches. And that's exactly what you were saying. So it gives this transition from a sense of foreboding to lightly and entertainment. And then the ride then was narrated by I can't say that word. Narrated. I say narrated. Narrated. It was spoken by
narrated.
Narrated.
The ride was nary. Now I'm saying it. Nary a ride.
There was nary a ride that Paul Frees couldn't narrate.
Paul Frees is the voice you hear in Haunted Mansion.
He's the ghost host.
The
right.
Ghost host.
While the Grim Grinning Ghost, which is the theme song, that was composed by Buddy Baker with lyrics by
Biscuit
and Tansio. I can't say his name. So now Disney has died. It's 1966, right? The project after he died, underwent significant changes. The idea for the Museum of the Weird restaurant was dropped. Imagineers raised concern for limited capacity of a walkthrough attraction, right? Even proposing building 2 identical versions of the ride to accommodate more guests. The solution came with the development of the Omnimover system, which was initially used in the Adventure Through Inner Space ride, which was actually the first ride to use it. They rebranded that as Doom Buggies for the Haunted Mansion. And this continuously moving chain and semi-enclosed vehicles allowed for higher capacity, so they didn't have to build 2.
Right. The Omnimover system is the type of ride in Disney that you sit in the seats, or the Doom Buggies or whatever that you sit in are just constantly moving, and you just, they don't stop unless somebody's got a wheelchair or they drop something. And
they rotate 360 degrees, and it allows them to control everything you're seeing. Yeah. Okay, and then it has the speakers inside of it with the, they'll say you can hear the ghost sound, you can hear everything. So, and then that seating, now that will seat up to 2 to 3 people. So it helped create a more personal experience with fitting into the storyline of individuals, like exploring the mansion alone, if you put one person in, or you could just, even if you did up to 3, it still feels like you're sort of exploring the mansion with just you and your friends or your family and stuff. So the opening day, it was an opening day attraction at Walt Disney World in 1971, and it's located in the Liberty Square in Magic Kingdom.
Right beside the big old Tom Sawyer ship, man.
Well, and it shares similarities with the Disneyland version. The layout and architecture of the Florida version were slightly modified to fit the Liberty Square theme as opposed to the Disneyland, which is the New Orleans Square.
Yeah.
So, and this sort of touches on a little bit of what you said earlier about the technology. So over the years, of course, it's been updated with new technology to keep it fresh. One of the most notable updates was the addition of the hitchhiking ghost at the end of the ride, because they use the digital projections, and for the ghost to appear on the top of the doom buggies. But it still sticks to that old-fashioned type of feeling too, of an older type of ride.
Yeah.
So there's also one thing that Walt Disney World doesn't do that Disneyland does, is the seasonal variations.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Halloween.
So what does it turn into for Halloween?
Halloween.
Nightmare Before Christmas?
Well, that's Christmas.
Or is that
though.
Christmas stuff? Or does it start?
Is that a Christmas movie or is that a Halloween movie?
I think they could start it at Halloween and run it through the end of Christmas, but I do not know for sure. Well,
I mean, I know Jack Skellington is like on the front of it, I believe, in Disneyland during, I think, Christmas. I want to say Christmas.
So maybe somebody can just let us know about that's been to Disneyland during that time, because we haven't been and not really for sure about that one.
And we're not going to Google it right now because that would be dumb.
No. So there's a lot of cultural impacts with this. And there's Legos, there's movies, a lot of merchandise.
3 movies, exactly, I think.
So which one is your favorite movie?
Muppet Haunted Mansion is the best. That one Haunted Mansion, the other one, both of them are.
I like the new one. I went and watched it in the movie. You didn't even watch it.
I've watched
it was okay.
We've watched it up in the living room.
Up in the living room. We're in the basement, by the way. But it's really creepy. But I like the
Muppets Haunted Mansion is the best by far. Anytime you put Muppets in something, it's better.
It's always good.
So getting on the Haunted Mansion, there's a couple of ways to do it. If you've never been, you can't rope drop this ride. This is a ride that doesn't open until the park officially opens. So if you're getting there early to rope drop, you got to do some other stuff beforehand. But once it does open, you can do your Lightning Lane, which it's part of the multi-pass system now. It's a tier 2 ride, just so when you're keeping track of all the tiered rides that you're going to be picking. It does have a wide range of wait times from what we've noticed, anywhere from 13 up to like 2 hours. If you see 13, go now. That is basically the walk-on time. Mm-hmm. They don't go below 13, which I think is awesome. They do this cool. They do this at Hollywood Studios as well for Tower of Terror. If it's 13, that means it's time to go. The wait times vary. I think it's a must ride. So if you feel like you don't want to wait, go ahead and throw it on a Lightning Lane. If you're okay with waiting, get in line.
I would suggest probably doing a Lightning Lane for it personally, because the line is fun and all, but nobody wants to wait that long. It can get pretty long. So I want to touch on your favorite experience, like your favorite part of this ride, whether it be a favorite memory or just your favorite part of the ride. Like for me, my favorite part of the ride is the ballroom scene. And
another great practical effect. We'll
go into the ballroom scene in a little bit, but that's my favorite. Like I get so excited every time we get ready to come up on that part. So what's your favorite? And then I'm going to tell you my least favorite thing about the ride.
Well, my favorite now is probably the Hatbox Ghost. I just think that he looks so cool. That was originally only at Disneyland. It actually didn't even work the first time they ever tried to do that, so they took it out and put him in like a closet or something and brought him back out when they actually got it to work.
Okay.
But it was just introduced to Disney World in 2023, and he's just cool. I mean, his head goes into a box, and he's holding his head. I just think the whole experience is my favorite. I do love me some Madame Leota. The Scary Bride always was like...
It's so creepy.
I was like, that is one of the scariest things in
Yes.
Disney World. And then going down into the graveyard, it kind of starts getting kooky, like you've had some really spooky stuff. I think the flow of the ride and the mixture of the creepy and the fun is just makes me feel like a little kid.
Yeah. So the thing I like the not most, okay, hang on.
The not most ghost.
It's early in the morning. The thing I hate the worst. The thing I hate the most. Let's do that one. The thing I hate.
What are you trying to say?
Is when your kid loses their magic band on that ride, because guess what?
They didn't lose it on the ride.
In the queue.
In the line when people are walking.
When it's dark. And guess what? You don't find it. Like, that just is the worst, because it's so dark in there. You can't just look down and
basically when a
find
kid
something.
loses anything during that queue, just let it go.
Yeah.
Just let it go.
Let's lighten things up a little bit, or make you really mad by playing a game. I'm gonna ask you 5. 13 questions. Okay, they're all going to be multiple choice, and you probably will answer all of them correctly. I have very high hopes, and you got this. Okay, so which of the characters is not featured in the Haunted Mansion?
Okay.
The Hatbox Ghost? The Hatbox Ghost? That is a tongue twister. The Bride? The Phantom Manor? Or the Singing Bus? Bust. Not a school bus. Bust.
What was the one before the bust?
The Phantom Manor.
The Phantom Manor?
Uh-huh.
Phantom Manor.
You got it.
I don't even...
Ding, ding, ding.
Isn't manor like a house?
I'm starting easy for you, babe. Okay. How many unique ghost characters can be found in the ride? 100, 200, 300, or 999?
999.
You got it. Ding, ding, ding. You're doing so great. Okay. The Haunted Mansion features a scene with a group of ghostly musicians known as what? The Phantom Trio? The Haunted Harmonizers? The Spooky Serenaders? Or the Singing Bus?
I mean, they are singing busts in there. I don't know if that's their actual name. What was the first one you said?
The Phantom Trio.
I feel like there's more than 3 there. Phantom Trio.
The Singing Bus. You were right. There's more than 3. There's 5.
Why did I say?
I don't know. You said.
I don't even know. I confused myself.
You said, but I think there's more than 3 though. The Phantom Trio.
I don't even know what trio means anymore.
Okay.
I'm losing my mind in this mansion.
Number 4. In the Haunted Mansion, what is the fate of the ghostly bride character? She disappears into the shadows. She transforms into a ghostly figure. She haunts her former husband, or she finds peace and leaves the mansion.
Oh, she's definitely still in the mansion.
Okay.
Didn't she kill the husband? And what was my other choices?
She disappears into the shadows. She transforms into a ghostly figure. She haunts her former husband. She haunts her former husband. She's already a ghostly figure.
I thought it shows her.
What is the fate of the ghostly bride figure?
You tricked me.
Sorry, I didn't trick you.
I thought you meant like what happened to her before.
You got tricked with the word trio.
She was alive for a while, and then she turned into a ghost. So that would mean that's...
What is the fate of the ghostly bride character?
That's a trick question.
Well, you need to be able to answer those. You've had enough experience so far with these games.
I hate these games.
Okay, last one. The Haunted Mansion is the only attraction located in 4 different lands in 4 different Disney parks.
The only attraction? I mean, there's multiple. It's in almost every Disney World.
So, okay.
Or Disney
So what
park.
you need to tell me is which land are they in? in all the Disney parks. So what parks are they that it's in?
Yeah, all the lands. There's no like Liberty Square in Japan.
So it's in Liberty Square in Walt Disney World. You got that one.
Yeah.
It's in...
I mean, I don't know the other lands that it's in.
Yes, you do.
In all the other parks?
There's 4 different parks that this attraction is in.
I know. I don't know the names of any of the other...
You know at least one more.
Disneyland?
And where is it at in Disneyland?
I don't know.
New Orleans Square.
Okay.
Okay, so you just guess the other 2 parks. You don't have to tell me the lands.
Japan?
Tokyo Disneyland. Yep. Yeah. It's in Fantasyland and Tokyo Disneyland. And what's the other? But you got to be more specific.
What? France.
You got it. In Paris. And it's in Frontierland in Paris.
Okay.
Okay, you did it.
I don't feel like I did.
Okay. I want to talk about the features of the ride because to me, that is, once you break them down, it's even more amazing. This ride is. No joke. So first, the queue. Mm-hmm. The queue, you have tombstones. You have a cemetery.
You have little like riddles to solve, and you can like learn the story of the mansion in the queue.
Well, you have
plus the cast members.
Right, Madame Leota's tombstone is there, and they have a pet cemetery.
Yeah.
And what is the most famous?
Ribbit. Mr. Toad.
Mr. Toad, and it's a tribute to Mr. Toad's Wild Ride and the death of that. So, I mean, just in the queue alone, there's so many things. And then the stretching room. So as you enter, you go into the stretching room.
The stretching room
is... You have the voice of the ghost host.
The ghost host.
And he takes you into the stretching room.
He actually hangs himself from the ceiling. Mm-hmm.
And it can be really dark.
It can, and you hear it. You look up, that's him hanging himself.
And it gives you the illusion that the room is actually stretching, and it seems like you said earlier, so
let's play a game. I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Is it the same mechanism that they use in Disney World as they use in Disneyland?
Yes.
No.
Okay. I mean, no.
Disneyland goes down. The floor goes down.
Okay.
Disney World, the ceiling goes up.
Oh.
So there you go.
Okay, you got me.
Same. It makes the same effect, but when they actually do different things.
Okay. Okay.
You didn't think I knew that, did you?
No, not at all. Well, look at you scratching your beard over there like you're the man. Okay, so then we get through the queue, or your child has lost their magic band. There's a lot of tears.
The cast members are very like dark, and like the humor is dry, and they don't really try to scare anybody, but they're not like your
they're not trying to make you feel
happy-go-lucky normal cast members.
No, not at all. So they load you into the Doom Buggy, which we touched on earlier. And then you start going through the ride, and you see, like I said, the Doom Buggies will turn a 360, and they really do control what you see. So you will see the pictures on the wall, and they all, come to life, and the clocks. And the clock that's always stuck on 13, and it's spinning, and just everything is creaking, and there's doors in there, like someone's trying to get out of them, and it could be really, really creepy. I mean, you hear kids crying on it, and be startling, I guess you could say, especially if it's your first time on it. It's sort of jumpy a little bit, and then you go to all these different scenes. Like I said, my favorite scene is the ballroom scene, and this is why. This is my favorite scene, not just because it looks amazing, but you have these transparent figures that are dancing, and they're floating, and they're celebrating, and they're all around this big long dinner table.
I want to be down there eating with them.
And the thing about them is they're physical animatronic figures, and they are located in hidden areas above and below the viewing platform, so people can't see them.
Do you know what that effect is called?
The Pepper's Ghost Illusion. Do you know who created that?
Pepper.
Pepper who?
James Pepper of the Pepper Distillery.
John Henry Pepper.
Oh.
In the 19th century, actually created that. But that is just the coolest
And they could have easily changed all
right.
that.
But they're using something that was created in the 19th
That's what I love
century.
about this
Yeah,
ride.
that's so awesome. And then you have the singing bus, which we've talked about those. And those are five
of
bus.
them, which
yeah,
is
there's 5 of them, not
trio,
not a trio,
quadruple.
Nope, that's 4.
Well, keep moving.
Okay. And they, of course, perform the song Grinning Ghosts, okay? And they appear in the graveyard scene, which is after the attic scene. And where you see isn't that where you see, no, that's where you see the bride. So you're going up, and then it flips you around backwards like you're falling into the cemetery. And then that, like you said, that's
see
the
old graveyard keeper. He's shaking. He's and
you see everything in the air, and it goes from being very serious to being sort of whimsical and fun. You have them singing. And do you know what one of the very deep, what is it called, a baritone or something like that? Isn't that like deep voice?
Baritone is kind of the deep, but you're not bass yet. You're kind of like that in between.
Okay. Well, whatever. This guy has a really deep voice. Do you know who that is that does one of those? I
do not.
The voices. It is Thurl Ravenscroft, who voiced Tony the Tiger.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that so cool? So each of those busts, though, has their own, like, personality and things like that. So I love that part when we see that. And I know isn't there, like, people say one of them is Walt or something like that, but
people
it's not.
Everything.
Yeah, it's not. And then you have the hitchhiking ghost, which appears near the end.
That's the best picture. There at the end.
The hitchhiking ghost.
When you just see them, if you've never seen, you're like, oh.
Well, do you know they have names?
I do.
Phineas.
Yes.
Is the tall, thin one.
Verb.
Ezra is the tallest.
Okay.
And Gus is that short one with the ball and chain.
I feel like I knew Gus. I didn't know Phineas and Ferb. Though.
But they're mischievous, sticking their fingers out, trying to hitch a ride, and then they end up jumping on your
They fart on people.
They fart. Oh, my God, Eric.
They do.
No, they don't.
Yeah, they do.
Do they really?
You know they do.
Oh, my gosh.
Kids versus no kids on this ride. Depends on the kid, I would say. I think it's just spooky enough for a small kid to be scared, but there's also enough fun stuff for them not to be. I think it's fine for kids.
I mean, our kids, I feel like when we first brought them, I feel like Addison got scared and she may have cried.
She did.
But
she was how old? At
4.
4.
But it was never like a point where it like
I would
never do it again or anything. But it was a little spooky for her.
I think you just have to. I mean, there is no like height limit on this so any age can go. It's just you're going to have to know whether your kid is easily spooked, because you don't want to be halfway through this ride and they're like screaming their head off.
No, because that ruins it for everyone else too.
Yeah. So I say 50-50. Depends on the kid.
And I think it depends on how you act. If you're just like, oh, look how funny this looks, or look at that. But if you're like
me and I'm like, ha!
Freaking them out, then yeah, it's going to be a little bit worse for sure. So
it's a good ride to, if the queue's not too long, you want to get indoors. Maybe you want to get out of the heat. It's, once you get inside, you can cool down a little bit.
But it's all shaded. The queue is too on the outside too. So
they've got a lot of
kids will be chill with that. They, at least they don't have the sun beating down on them, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's definitely, don't worry about it being like thrill ride style, because it is the Omnimover, so you don't have to worry about that. It's really just depends on how easily your kid is scared and if they will cry.
Yeah. All right, let's close this out with some fun facts.
Give me some fun facts. Okay? Don't make me feel stupid anymore.
So, this is one that I loved. The gift shop is named Memento Mori. Mm-hmm. Do you know what that means? You know what that phrase? It's a Latin phrase
a bunch
that
of times.
translates
I can honestly say I don't know.
Remember death, or remember that you must die. And it serves as a reminder of the inevitability of death. And I was like,
very Disney-like.
Yeah, very, very Disney-like. And it's located in Liberty Square, right across, and it sells mainly all haunted mansion stuff, right? And there's a lot of multiple paranoia occurrences that take place in the shop. Like, you have the portrait of Madame Leota that changes under an ultraviolet light with the eyes glowing in the background.
Kind of reminds me of you. What?
I changed
Hot.
in a wait, what?
Yeah,
What?
just like you.
What does that have to do with the portrait?
I was just saying.
How does she change? Are you saying she changes like, oh my God, this is getting weird. Okay. Bottled spirits are seen on the higher shelves, right? And there's a mirror with an apparition of Madame Leota where she materializes, accompanied by music, and then vanishes after a few seconds. And if you ask a cast member, like, what's going on in here? Did you just see that? They will say, I don't know what you're talking about. And then they just move on. I thought that was pretty neat. So Madame Leota's face and namesake, that was an Imagineer, and her name is Leota Toombs. And she rehearsed her incarnations on the night of her daughter and a future Imagineer, Kim Irvin's school dance. And the little girl kept asking her, wow, or people would ask her, wow, what's up with your mom? Because she was at this dance practicing the voice and what she was saying as Madame Leota. Could you imagine just being one of the parents at a school dance and just looking over and seeing this woman and what she's saying and like, what the hell's
Sounds
wrong
awesome
with her? The voice of the ghost host, Paul Frees, he also voiced the Pillsbury Doughboy.
And Boris from Rocky and Bullwinkle. And a ton of your favorite Christmas specials with like the Rudolphs and the Snowman, Frosty the Snowman. He did a lot of those too. Tons of stuff.
I think that's really it. I mean, there's a ton more, but those are just the ones that caught my eye and I thought were pretty cool enough to mention. So yeah, it's
been a hauntingly good time with you on this podcast. If you want to follow us on social media, you can follow the podcast. It's a Small Disney Podcast on Instagram. If you want to follow me at Whiskey Mutant, if you want some bourbon content, if you want to follow April at SmithApril859.
For zero content.
You got good content. That's where you find out what the family's like. And then you can like, comment, subscribe, share, do all the stuff that you normally would do with all your other favorite podcasts.
I would like to hear other people's experiences,
comment.
Especially in Disneyland.
You can listen to this on Spotify, Apple, or on YouTube. We don't have a video version, but some people apparently listen to podcasts on YouTube, so you can comment on that just like you would. So leave a comment, interact with us, send us a message. But I think that's it. I guess we'll see you next time.
I wish I had something
or will
to
we?
Say. Oh, there you go. You got it.
It's a Small Disney Podcast.